I'm not for an outside committee yet. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. There is ample evidence that Mr. Trump or associates of Mr. Trump have colluded in some way to throw the 2016 presidential election. Substantial evidence, we assume, can be found in his tax returns.
That's a good question.
The American people deserve to know the truth. The Republican Congress has at every turn obstructed our evidence, our efforts, has
Thank you.
obstructed our
I got
efforts
you.
to see those tax
Okay,
returns.
I got your question. Let me tell you, Diane, I think that's a bunch of garbage when it comes to me. I don't think I've obstructed anything. I think I've been more than on the case when it comes to Russia. I think I have stood up for the idea that I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and watch the Russians try to undermine our democracy. But I'm not going to. And so, I don't agree with you. As to Trump's tax returns, here's what may happen. If there's a connection between the Trump business world and colluding with Russia, then I'll be the first one to say that the FBI, well, they have the power now to go get it if they need it. As to tax returns and presidential candidates, I've got legislation, got a Democratic sponsor, that if you run for president in 2020, you got to release your tax returns. All right.
This question is from Lucille McKee from Lexington, South Carolina. Lucille, could you please stand up?
Say that again, I couldn't hear you.
Lucille McKee.
Lucille. Hey, Lucille.
The question is, you stress the importance of finding out all things Russia. Now that Senator Nunes has tainted the process, will you call for an independent investigation?
Yes. If I think the Congress can't do this, and right now you got to remember Watergate was done by the Congress. I really appreciate what Senator Burr and Warner have done. Senator Whitehouse, who's a Democrat on my committee, has been terrific. I hope Nunes and Schiff can get their act together. But the main thing is I want to get to the bottom of what happened. I'd rather Congress do it than an outside commission. But when it comes to a criminal investigation, Congress should let the FBI do it. I'm not equipped to be an FBI agent. I don't have the staff. I don't want anybody to think that I can make a decision as to who gets prosecuted because I'm a Republican. And I don't want a Democrat to be put in that same spot. So right now, I'm okay with what's going on. I hope the House can get their act together. But if I think we need a joint select committee because the committee process is voting, it's broken, I will join with Senator McCain to do that. Okay? All right, good question.
This question is from Nancy Martin in Lexington. Nancy, please stand up.
Nancy? Hey, thank you, Nancy.
In what way specifically is the Congress holding President Trump accountable for his and his family's profiting from his office?
Okay. Good question. President Trump's business dealings. As far as I know, he's complied with the law as it exists. The question is, should we change the law? Right now, I don't know of anything that he's done that runs afoul of the law. He's got his daughter-in-law, his daughter working in the White House. I don't know about you, but I'm glad she's there. Because I think she's a pretty smart lady. But let me just say this about the Office of Ethics. If there's a complaint against President Trump in the way he's doing business, there's a process for that to be handled. But we'll see where that takes us. I don't know of anything to tell you right now other than that. Yeah, Kellyanne Conway. I think she was disciplined. Yeah.
This question is
How many of
from
you bought
Ella White.
anything at Ivanka's design? I didn't think so. Okay. All right.
This question is from Elia White from West Columbia.
Who?
Elia White, could you please stand up?
White. All right. Is that you, sir? All right. Go ahead.
The question is feeling about tax reform proposals.
Great question. Tax reform. How many of you would like to see the tax code simplified? How many of you would like me to cut your taxes? Okay. All right. Here's what I think's coming. Now that the failure to replace Obamacare has died in the House, I think the next thing we'll do with taxes. Here's what I think is important: is to lower the corporate rate so we can be more competitive. So, to all of you who came here today, so the first thing we got to do is lower the corporate rate because it's one of the highest in the world. I'd like to eliminate some of the deductions and credits because it's so complicated. But when it comes to trade policy, one thing we need to get right. If you make a product in the United States, you pay taxes. If you sell it overseas, we're usually having to pay a tariff. When somebody makes a product in Germany, they don't have to pay taxes on it when it comes here. So we need somehow to level that. But the bottom line for me when it comes to tax, it needs to be simpler and fair, lower rates with less deductions. So what I hope to have happen is to lower the corporate rate somewhere to around 25, and that will make us more competitive when it comes to companies doing business. Repatriation. Are you familiar with this? All the money parked overseas that won't come back at 35%. I'd like to do a one-time good deal, 10 or 15%, take that money and build our roads and bridges and our harbors and do infrastructure. So tax policy is lower corporate rates, simplify the code, bring money parked overseas that's doing nobody any good back into the country, and put the revenue from that money into infrastructure. Thank you. All right.
This is from Cynthia Flynn from Columbia. Cynthia? What is your position on the EPA and their effort to gut it?
EPA. How many of you believe climate change is real? Right. I agree. I believe man-made emissions are contributing greenhouse gas effect that traps heat that's heating up the planet. The difference between me and Al Gore is he made it religion, and I think it's a problem that needs to be solved. So, the EPA's budget is set to be cut by 20-something%. 31%, too much. So, here's what I think we need to understand about the budget. Do you want to have about 2 minutes about the budget? What's the largest expense to the federal government? So, a simple answer is I will not support that big a cut to the EPA. I believe Richard Nixon created the Environmental Protection Agency. I think it's run amok in the last 8 years, and I'm glad we're rolling back some of the regulations. Now, what you got to realize that I'll work across the aisle, but at my heart, I'm a conservative Republican, and I'm damn proud of it. I want to rebuild the military. I'm proudly pro-life. I want a tax code that's more entrepreneurial. So, I want you to know what you're getting with me. On occasion, I'm defined by the times I try to reach across the aisle on immigration. to solve a hard problem. But at my core, I'm a fiscal and social conservative. But here's what I believe. I can't run the country by myself. And we have to work together. And let me tell you about the budget. 62% of the federal spending is Medicare and Medicaid, entitlements, and interest on the debt. 6.8% of the federal budget is interest on the debt. 62% is entitlement spending. 14% is defense. 15% is non-defense, EPA, Department of Education, Department of Transportation. So let me tell you about the president's budget and why I can't support it. Let me tell you, if you eliminated the Department of Defense, you wouldn't begin to balance the budget. If you eliminated the EPA, you wouldn't begin to balance the budget. If you eliminated all foreign aid, you wouldn't even begin to balance the budget because it's 1%. So here's what we got to come to grips with. If you want to save this country from becoming Greece, you need Republicans and Democrats working together